I heard a rumor that the 59990 Cybertruck was here in Daytona, so I had to come down and check it out. Now, they were kind enough to let me take a look at it, and we got in it, walked around it, but this is one of the few that are out there, and my understanding is this particular one is not for sale. So there are going to be some minor differences in this one and what's actually shipping, but I'll go into that. It's basically a couple of the options are missing on this that will be present in the ones that ship, but this otherwise is what you should expect with your $59,990 Cybertruck, or now your $69,990 Cybertruck. I'm really excited to check this thing out. I haven't seen one in person till now. And in fact, this is the first time I've actually sat in the fabric seats, even though they did a limited run of the rear wheel drive version. So to give you a breakdown here, we're talking $69,990 today, $59,990 for 10 days earlier this year, 0 to 60 in 4.1, just like my all-wheel drive. 325 miles of rated range, which is the same as the all-wheel drive, and a towing capacity of 7,500 pounds instead of 11,000. You also come standard with these 18-inch wheels, still 35-inch tires, and a coil suspension instead of air suspension. You also lose like the LED light bar in the back and a couple of LED strips here on the bottom, but you still have ambient lights on the inside, fabric seats instead of leather, not ventilated in the front, just heated, not heated in the back, and you also lose that rear screen. You also lose the outlets on the inside of the truck, except for the USB-C. So you still have one USB-C in the center console, you still have two USB-Cs in the back of the console for the back seat, and then of course the one in the glove box. There are no 120s on the inside of this truck. There are, however, supposed to be two 120s and a 240 in the back, just like on the premium, and it does have power share, which is a big deal. This big battery, 124 kilowatt hour battery pack, whatever the actual number is, big pack. And Tesla says that'll power your house for up to 3 days. And I think that in an emergency, if you're turning on only the essentials, you could definitely get a lot of days out of that, more than 3 if you needed to. But that's a huge big deal, especially places like Florida where we have inclement weather, like you can see behind me from time to time, where power sometimes does go out. Anyways, this is a lot of truck for the money, especially for those of you who paid $59,990. There's a lot to love about this, and some of the things that you don't get in this versus the premium are not all that bad. Biggest deal is the air suspension was probably the biggest one, but you still have power tonneau, you still have outlets in the bed, you still have full self-driving, you have the ambient lights on the inside, which is whatever, powered frunk still, but you lose some of the bigger things like air suspension, you lose the smuggler's bay, you lose the long light bar in the bed. You still have a couple of lights, but nothing crazy. You're stuck with these 18-inch steely looking things that are not so pretty. But yeah, there's a lot about this truck that what they did strip out wasn't too crazy for the money. Unlike the last time they tried to do this for 70 grand, rear wheel drive, and a lot of stuff ripped out, But I've brought a tape measure with me, I finally remembered, and we took some measurements of the suspension to give you an idea of what ride height you should be expecting. So let's head over to the screen now, where we can start to see how this thing is set up. It's basically the same. It's the same screen as it is. Of course, we have an updated animation for the wheels here, and this is the newer version of software. So you might be noticing how shiny it is. That's actually UI going across all models. When you select the dual motor all-wheel drive version right now and we keep the wheels standard, it says 325 miles of range. And even if you pay the extra to get the standard wheels for the premium version, 325 miles of range. The premium all-wheel drive tops out at 325 as well, at least on the website. This will have fantastic range, and it was stated at the time when Tesla basically launched this that it was going to have 300 plus miles of range. We do know the capacity in this pack is the same as it was in all the other trims, but we just don't have an air suspension, and a lot of equipment is stripped out, meaning it's lighter, which should give it better range potentially, and that is what we're looking at here. There is one difference, however, and that is the fact that this truck is listed to cap out at 325 kilowatt charge rate, and the premium versions state up to 500 kilowatts, and I think I've seen 440 or so on my own truck. So we've been seeing these numbers go up. This one does not, and we believe that is a hardware restriction. There is additional cost in the charging equipment, at least on board of this truck, to be able to accommodate that extra juice. So that is missing in this variant of the Cybertruck. So this will cap out at 325, which is still a phenomenal number, assuming that the charging curve is relatively the same. Here are some of the other things I want to look at. Now, again, this is an updated UI, so some of the stuff is laid out a little bit different than you're probably used to or you've seen in the past from Cybertruck, but we still do have roof power feed and we still do have the front power feed, but now they're listed right here, which is great. Those are two power sources that we did not want to lose. In addition to those, we also have the interior outlets that have been removed. There are two 120 volt outlets in the cab of the premium version that are not present in here, and that's why we see no list of outlets here on the screen. So you can't actually turn on the interior outlets because there are no interior outlets. It does, however, have power share, which is an important feature of the Cybertruck. Tesla states it can power your home for up to 3 days. It is a massive battery sitting in your garage, and being able to do that in reverse does definitely add a lot of value. So this can do power share, which is pretty awesome that even this base version does it. Over here on the dynamics, we can go through here. It's basically the same. We just have comfort and we have sport, and then of course custom. It's very similar to what we have in the premium versions. Towing is basically the same. We still have the ability to hook up a trailer. It's 7,500 pounds of towing capacity in this versus 11,000 pounds in the premium versions. So there is a little bit less towing capacity in this. Over on the self-driving tab, exactly the same. You can either do traffic aware cruise control or full self-driving. Cybertruck never had autopilot or basic autopilot as we used to know it. So you can subscribe to full self-driving, or you can use traffic aware cruise control only. This is all basically the same. Nothing different there. Nothing that we're going to find here. Now on the lights, this is where we're going to have some of the differences, starting with the back of the truck. So as you can see, our tail light, it is different, and I will show you what that looks like from outside here in just a little bit. Interestingly, so the bed does not have a light bar. However, it does have a couple of lights, and it looks like this isn't just an issue. These actually do change brightness based on that, which is great. So it does have some lights back there, and on the inside, our dome lights, they look to be exactly the same. And our accent lights, we do have accent lights throughout, which is fantastic, and they do all the same stuff, all the colors, so that's not different here. Crank those up. Blind spot warning lights, which is a new feature, which is a lot of fun. And then that is basically it on the light side. On the front, we still have the same light bar as we have in the other Cybertrucks. You'll notice right here, we do not have heated seats in the back. We do, however, have heated seats in the front, but no ventilation. So because of the fabric seats, we do not get ventilated seats, but just heat. We still do have the same power functions, forward, back, up, down, and we do have lumbar, which is nice to see is still present here. And now for the audio. Tesla is famous for having next level audio, amazing audio packages in their cars. This one has been stripped down. Instead of something like, I think, 15 speakers in the premium version, this one has 7, and it does not have the subwoofer that we have in ours. It should still have some pretty amazing sound for the bass. I'm going to play something and I'll give you my honest opinion on it here in just a second. Let me mess with everything, get some tunes on. So here's what I'm going to say about the stereo itself. The sound is good, the bass is not so great. So the bass if you're used to the premium version, the bass is all around you. It's how they've piped it through the frame of the truck. It's amazing. This truck, the bass is only coming from the speakers up here in front, and it's very obvious. Now that could be because I'm used to the amazing sound system in my truck, is why I notice it so much, but there's no bass coming from anywhere else but that front speaker. And that is the only thing that's noticeable. But the rest of the sound is very crisp and clear. So if you're not looking for punchy, bassy tunes, this is perfectly fine. But it is noticeably worse than it is in the premium version. And I would say on the Model Y, the Model 3, it's not that bad of a difference. In the Cybertruck, it is very obvious. So I'll just leave it at that. All right, so we still have our same basic functions, in and out. Nothing different here on the steering wheel, and the position is the same, so no surprises there. And you can start to see over here our ambient lights. They are there, and they can do all the same things that they can do in the premium versions, which is great. But the steering wheel, it's the same exact steering wheel. We have the same material here as the premium. We have the same dashboard as the premium, and the same carpet up on front as the premium. The only thing you'll really notice here is over here on the side, we don't have that big speaker right here. And other than that, there's not much else that's different other than some of the materials up here. So up here, this material right here is, it's a much more, it's a textile for sure. It's not the faux Alcantara or whatever. And that's present here on the sides, perfectly fine. It is black, which is definitely necessary for that. So looks totally fine. I wouldn't notice it. Everything else feels, looks, kind of seems the same. So looking here on the bed, a couple of things to note. Of course, we don't have the smuggler's bay here underneath the floor that we do in the premium. These are our lights. I'll see if I can get those to turn on real quick. All right, there we go. Got them on 100% brightness. So those are on. Let's head up here to the front. Here's our light bar. Headlights look the same. It does have a powered front. And that is about it. We do still have 35-inch tires, it looks like. These are the 18-inch wheels, the Steelies. They don't look horrible. I thought that the wheel cover was this part, but it's actually just this little cap here. This is part of the Steely. Even though it kind of looks like one piece that goes on top, no, that's the only piece that comes off. These are definitely street tires. These are definitely built for comfort. You can see how plump they are. And a better look at the suspension here. Our coil suspension looking pretty decent, honestly. And let's take a measurement or two to see what this ride height is the equivalent of in the premium version. All right, so on the front, we're talking 38 inches to the bottom of the fender, and on the rear, we're talking about just over 38 and a half. Now coming over to my truck, don't worry, these are still 35-inch tires. They're just very nice and pretty tires. But let's take a look. This should be, the tires will have no impact on this measurement. This is set at medium at the moment, 38 and a half, so half an inch lower than what the premium is on medium. And on the rear, let's see if it's the same. Yeah, so 39 and a half on the front, on the back. So here's low. Let's see what we're looking at here. So low is 37 inches and 38, almost 38 in the back. So we're talking about a half inch shorter than the medium setting on the suspension for the premium models for this coil suspension. This truck should have outlets, even if it's not the 10-day version of this truck, but rather the one that you can currently order. Both of them state that they have that rear outlet. So I'm not sure why this one doesn't. I do know that this one is not one for sale, so perhaps that has something to do with it. This one will be going from store to store, is my understanding. So maybe that's why it doesn't have outlets, but it should. And also the tonneau cover for the 59,991. So I think for the moment, we're gonna chalk this up to being a demo model, which is why it doesn't have a tonneau or the outlets, because it's supposed to have a power tonneau, and it's supposed to have two 120s and a 240 back here. And that also is part of including the power share package, which is controlled right through the outlet right there. So this is what the tail lights look like here with just the lights on. And then we just have the center light up bar when the brakes are applied. Let's go compare that to our truck. And that is the difference. See this light bar right here? That is not present on the cheaper version, but when you do hit the brakes, it's just this little sliver here, which we also have on this, but that shows up in addition to this light bar right there. Here's a good front shot of the base model over here. Like I said, looks basically the same as what we have over here. Now these appear to be possibly dummies. So these don't wind up, but it looks like they're there. It's very interesting. Other than the wheels themselves, you will not notice anything different than the premium model. This will look everything the same on the outside as the premium. Nothing is different out here, again, other than the wheels. And in this case, this I guess showcase show rodeo type truck is missing a power tonneau. I'm not sure why. And it also does not have the outlets in the bed like it's supposed to, regardless of if it's the current version of it or the 10-day fire sale version of it. They're supposed to have those two things that are missing here. Other than that, you wouldn't notice much. If anything, of course, Smuggler's Bay. These are what the lights though are instead of the full length. So very traditional truck bed in the back. This one is set up for basically our tonneau come all the way back here and slide in. So that is the walk around of the cheaper $59,990, $69,990 Cybertruck. And this thing, I'm telling you, there's a lot to love about this. The things that they did take out in this version of it, still being all-wheel drive, still having the outlets and still having the same tonneau cover, which is crazy. You didn't really lose a whole lot. It's just that I think the suspension is probably the biggest one. The interior is very preference driven. I think a lot of people are okay either way, whether it's fake leather or it's a textile like this, but I don't think that's really that big of a deal. Losing the outlets on the inside is kind of a bummer, especially for how I use my Cybertruck. And then of course these base wheels, but you're gonna put something cool on it like that anyway, so who cares what these wheels look like. There's so much to love about this truck. I think this is a home run, especially for that $60,000 price range that they had for 10 days. At 70, I think we're pushing it, honestly. But they left a lot of stuff in there to help justify some of that higher cost at $70,000. And I think that is definitely evident in what you get here. So I think it's a fantastic package. It's really exciting to see these things starting to show up, even these demonstration models that they're going to have around, so that you can kind of get the basic idea. You'll probably start to see these around in the coming days. Basically, however many there are, they've shipped them across the country and they're going from showroom to showroom so people be able to see them. Also, some people are starting to take delivery now of their $60,000 Cybertruck. So congratulations to those of you. It's going to be a while before anybody else is going to get this basic all-wheel drive Cybertruck or dual motor Cybertruck, because the backlog is into 2027. Even the premium models are getting pushed back because of capacity to be able to ship and build all of these trucks. So that's great news for Tesla, and I think this is a much better option for you to consider. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is this a good deal? Is this a bad deal? I think that if I was buying a Cybertruck today and delivery time wasn't a part of the conversation, I would probably buy the base all-wheel drive version, because you still get the same battery and you still get a lot of the same features. It's just the suspension would be the thing I would miss the most. Everything else, totally cool with. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you agree, disagree? I thank you so much for joining today, and I can't wait to catch you on the next one.